Panmure, and we are going to welcome up, and I'll get back to the report. Do we have? Is that Jessica? Yep, Letitia. And Jessica, is it? Yep. Okay, welcome. Right.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, councillors. What we have here today is a procedural item to confirm the disposal of sites which were included in the Unlock Panmure High-Level Project Plan, which was approved by the Planning Committee on 6th of March 2018. Just to note, this is very much a procedural report because the substance of the Unlock Panmure High-Level Project Plan has already been covered at the Planning Committee. However, questions were raised regarding iwi engagement at the Planning Committee and this report provides further information about the iwi engagement which has been undertaken for sites in the Unlock Panmure location. Happy to answer any questions, Mr. Chair.
Councillor Philipina.
Tēnā korua, ladies. Look, I just wanted to sort of mention around the local board and the consultation with the local board, knowing that this is a procedural motion, I'm asking the question around further consultation with or communication with the local board, and would like to sort of, you know, just see what their process would be post this decision.
Sure, certainly. So for the Unlock project, Panmure, we've certainly taken a really sort of intensive sort of consultation with the community and also the local board. And Councillor Bartley, when she was the local board chair, we had started engagement with community and local board since the beginning of the project. So certainly, as part of the Unlock Panmure project, we've taken the community on the journey, and going forward into implementation, we will continue to work with the local board and also a community tea group that we've established as well as we go through into implementation. Obviously, we are, as a process, as part of the long-term plan, waiting for confirmation on specific funding for the project. So as soon as that's confirmed around mid-year this year, we will be able to go out and actually say to the community we've got confirmed funding for this project, and we are in the space of being able to actually activate certain sites for development and actually work with local board and community as we progress.
And just supplementary, so post this decision, the local board, is it a given that they'll be definitely consulted, communicated with around anything to do with Unlock Panmure, and for example the car park area?
Yes, there has been the process to date.
Not,
yes,
I mean post
yes,
today,
yeah.
is the question.
Yes. Yeah, we definitely see local board and the community as partners in regeneration project, and particularly with Panmure, there are a lot of sites involved, and we want to see the outcomes that community want as part of the consultation that we've undertaken, what they would like to see delivered for the community benefit.
Kia ora, thank you.
Councillor Watson.
Thanks. Just not a specific question, Letitia, but just a general question. When we get these disposal properties that come up and have the capital value, what's the process if we want to actually find out what they eventually end up going for? So, you know, over the last little while, there's been various properties come up, and I'm quite interested to see, you know, what actual price we get for them. What's the process as far as that information being made available?
That's all public information. For any property that's sold in the country, you can find out what it was sold for. So it's actually available on several websites, but we can also provide you information on that. In some instances, Panuku, because we're seeking to leverage certain outcomes, might seek a lower sale price, but that's because we're seeking to maximise opportunities for housing, trade-offs for community not community facilities as such, but things which benefit the community. So it depends what the trade-off is, but that is the ultimate sale price is public information.
Okay. Member Taupō.
Oh, kia ora, Mr. Chairman. Tēnā kōrua. Just referring to paragraph 12, in terms of the anticipation or possibility of koiwi, there's a reference to accident discovery protocol to be registered on titles. Does that mean that the only option is if you come across koiwi that they have to be removed?
Through the Chair, no. The purpose of the accidental discovery protocol is to put processes in place at the beginning of any form of earthworks or excavation to ensure that there's archaeologists, etc., who are actually part of any works which are done, so that there's minimal disruption there and that we actually have a good understanding of what we're dealing with before further work is done. So it's very much a proactive, preventative step.
Sure. So if the extent of the Wahitapu or Urupa was quite large and affected a number of possible properties, how would that relate to what you're proposing to do in terms of disposing properties? You couldn't really dispose of burial ground, could you?
Through the Chair, we would have to, if that came up, if that was discovered, we would have to take that on a case-by-case basis. I couldn't talk about specifics
Sure.
of what we'd do without knowing if we actually found something.
So that leads me to my next question then. Knowingly that in your report you said that there are indications of that, why wouldn't you be doing that work now to find out what the extent is in terms of the properties that you are proposing to dispose of?
Through the Chair, we would be wanting to actually make sure that Council was supporting the disposal of this property before we undertook the cost and time of doing this work, because otherwise we would be incurring potentially large costs without any benefit to Council. So we'd be waiting to find out that it is something that Council supports.
It's chicken and egg stuff, and as far as I'm concerned, Mr. Chairman, really, how do you know what you've got to dispose of when you haven't actually worked it all out, and you leave it to the 11th hour to go through a process and then find out the extent of the Wahitapu is so massive that you've got a major problem on your hands, and you can dispose of those properties anyway. So, you know, I don't know if I've said this more than once, probably have. It's about doing the work properly first. And so this committee, which we are members of, can be informed appropriately to make proper decisions accordingly in regards to disposal of properties and protection of heritage and culture. Kia ora.
Through the Chair, if I could just note that we acknowledge that human remains were found in the vicinity, but the work that we have done to date has indicated that there is nothing on the site or on these sites which we're recommending. However, as a precautionary measure, we are putting accidental discovery protocols on every site, on the title of every site, to ensure that there is very careful work done when any earthworks are undertaken at those sites. So our initial investigations have indicated that while something was found in the vicinity, that they are not located on this site. But again, I take your point that until you actually start examining the land further, you can't know for certain.
Yeah, I appreciate that response, Mr. Chairman, but as I've said to you, if you don't know the extent, and this extent is significant, there is an issue about the properties being disposed of, and that's all I'm saying is there's a process that, you know, as again, which is chicken and egg, which one comes first in terms of the process that you undertake to make this committee informed in its decision making. Kia ora.
And I understand the sensitivity on this, but one thing is local government have probably been rightly criticised for spending money investigating, writing reports, and in reality nothing's going to happen or happen for a very long time. And we're trying to curb that at the New Auckland Council. So that's the chicken and egg. We're just trying to not. But I'm aware of the sensitivities of what you were talking about. Councillor Simpson.
No, it's okay. Councillor Wharapaina asked my question.
Councillor Bartley.
Thank you, Chair, and through you. I just wanted to know what was the local board feedback regarding the sale of 4 car parks, please?
So, as part of the engagement, local board expressed that, and also the community have strongly voiced that there's simply a lot of car parks within Panmure, and the community and the local board don't see it's the best use of those sites. A good practical common sense sort of kind of approach would be to really look at them as a whole, and also consolidate them into better location that can provide better public access closer to shops, that can encourage more shoppers to come in, more short-term stay parking as opposed to long-term stay parking, that people park in Panmure and escape from the suburb and actually not contribute anything economically to the centre. So certainly that's been the feedback so far. I think a lot of the community also would like to see positive development in the area as opposed to parking sites sitting in the town centre that's not activated, because a lot of these spaces are causing a lot of concern to the community, particularly around safety and security. These parking spaces are not activated, have very little activity, and nighttime Panmure essentially is a very dull and unsafe place for people to come to. Yeah, so by activating these sites for development, we will bring more people into the centre, more eyes on the street to make it safer, and also more people and customer to support local businesses.
Thank you, Jessica. I think the answer is they're happy to sell.
Yeah, it's just that I've been speaking to the chair of the local board, and he wasn't aware of which car parks were being sold. So, I mean, I question whether we need to sell 4 or whether we need to sell 3. I just think there needs to be more discussion with the local board about the car parks. And my concerns could be alleviated if we changed or added to one of the recommendations, C, and include the local board with Auckland Transport.
Further consultation.
But, yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Happy
yeah.
with that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, right. Well, who would like to move this?
Josephine.
Josephine, totally?
Can I just clarify, where is XXIX? I couldn't find that on the thing, in the agenda.
XX what?
In
IX.
C, it says the properties listed VI to XXIX, but I can't find XXIX
6 to 29, isn't it?
on page 47 or 48 of our agenda.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't meaning pages. XXIX is 29.
Sorry, through the chair, it should be XXVIII. Well spotted.
18.
Yeah.
Aye,
You
aye.
put it.
18, not 19.
28.
This should be 28.
Aye.
28.
Thank you.
Right.
We don't even live in Rome.
Okay, so we've added that, and we have a mover, seconder.
I'll second.
Councillor Simpson. We have no more speakers. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Josephine. All passed. Is that, you were happy? And Letitia, are you staying for the next item? Yep, okay. Right. Anthony, welcome.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning. Yes, Letitia would like to stay for our last Finance and Performance Committee for the next 9 months. I promise not to call her. Good morning. I take the report as read. We have 6 properties being presented to the committee today. All have been through the rationalisation process. No alternate service uses have been identified. All the relevant local boards have been consulted and they have endorsed the disposals. Probably a few issues I'd like to point out. There has been some notification that 2 of the sites are culturally significant. I have attempted to go back to that iwi entity 3 or 4 occasions asking for more clarity. Unfortunately, I haven't had a response, but if approved for disposal, I will go back to them regarding 570 Great South Road, Papatoetoe, and 22R Clyde Road, Otara. Just touch on another property, 139 Colmar Road, Papatoetoe. It is outside the HLPP for Papatoetoe. However, if approved for disposal, Panuku will look at suitable development outcomes which are in line with the unitary plan and commercially viable, and which would support the regeneration of Papatoetoe Town Centre as well. Free to take questions.
No, it's just an easy report. Good report.
Flipana.
Happy to
Just
move,
on your last
Mr. Chair.
statement around Horbury. Just on your last statement, Horbury, just clarify what you've just said.
Oh, so I was referring to 139 Colmar Road, which is
Oh, no, sorry.
the car park beside the countdown loading zone.
So I thought you mentioned Horbury. So Horbury falls in the Otara Papatoetoe local board area.
Yes, it does. There's a bit of a dog leg on the boundary, and it's just inside the boundary.
Okay. Can I also, Chair, in regards to the sale of all these properties, can you just clarify the process regarding the monies received from the sale of these properties and where the monies will be spent?
Yes, because they are service properties, they're outside any unlock or transform location. They will be going to a regional fund to fund capital works for council or to fund debt.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Councillor Watson.
Yeah, just another general question that springs from Horbury there. We've had a couple of instances where, according to reports, neighbours or people have asked about, come to the council to ask about buying the properties. This one is, you know, is a reasonably sizable one, size of a normal section. I'm just really kind of curious how that rolls out. Like, how do people get to know to say, oh, there's a section there? Can I buy it off council? It seems to me to be a situation that wouldn't occur to most people. Is it people with an interest in development as opposed to just a normal owner looking to get a bigger section?
Yeah, through the chair, council as a whole receives a large number of queries. They may come through the Parks Department, they may come through community facilities, they may come directly to Panuku. We work together, we collate them. We are obliged to respond to every single request. Most times they can't be progressed. They are a service property that council requires. In this instance, this property was seen as being a possible candidate for rationalisation. And certainly there were some alternate service uses that we investigated with the local board. The local board did ask if it could be retained as a pocket park. Unfortunately, it is half the size of the recommended size for a pocket park. We did look at it for a community garden. I worked with Parks and the strategic broker for the board. There was an identified need, and in the end, the local board supported endorsing the sale. But yes, we do get large numbers of queries from members of the public.
And so it is indeed queries from members of the public rather than council going around knocking on the door saying, "Do you want to buy this?" It's coming from the public, not from council in any way.
Yes, in this case.
Okay, just one further one with respect to this particular site there. There's quite a bit of greenery or space in the middle there. Is that privately owned land, or is that kind of like an informal reserve?
Through this year, that is a privately owned land. It's a development site. It may have been, Horbury may have been the planned road access into a development, 40, 50 years ago, but never progressed.
Anthony, does a sign go up on the site? Any site? I mean, to highlight to neighbours who may not know about it until they see a sign go up that says for sale?
Through the chair, no. Once an approval to dispose goes through, Panuku dispose of properties on a site-by-site basis. We may do it directly, we may go through an agent, we may approach the neighbours directly. It's really case by case.
Councillor Casey.
Anthony, the two sites that Mana Whenua have advised as culturally significant, are we actually approving their sale today ahead of you going back to them to find out more? Is that not cart and horse stuff?
Yes, it comes down to a question of how many times realistically can we go back. I've tried to contact them, and I will still continue to contact them, irrespective of the results of the committee's decision. The concerns raised were that they were seeking to have some input into a development outcome. These two sites are properties that we're looking to dispose. We're not looking to directly influence any development outcomes. We've certainly consulted with our heritage team that they're not included in a unitary plan overlay. They're not identified as being sites of significance in the cultural heritage inventory, and that's why we do consult with Mana Whenua to tap into their expert knowledge. I've asked them numerous times saying, please let us know what else we can do. I guess it comes down to a call whether what is sufficient follow-up required across the board, because it does require a lot of resources. I do this myself across the full 21 local board areas. If I did go back endlessly, it would take a long time to progress any of these properties through to the committee for disposal.
We get the drift.
Yep.
Right. We have a mover and a seconder.
Yeah, I'll move them.
Okay, well, I will second, and Councillor Filipano will move, and I'll second that. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Against? There's none against. And Letitia,
All the best.
Good luck.
all the best. I believe you had the gender party, what, a few weeks ago?
About 18 weeks ago. Yes, so I'm expecting a son. So 2 weeks
Alfreda.
today, so I'm very excited.
Alfred's a good name.
Yes.
This rolls off the tongue. Alfred.
And we're going to confiscate her work phone, so she's not allowed to have it at the hospital.
Good idea. I know somebody else who
Have a
might
party in your room.
needs a bit of advice on that one.
Yes, I believe it was an X-ray, not a
Indeed.
gender party. So, anyway, thank you very much. And I'm sorry, we haven't confirmed you on maternity leave, or?
I'll be on maternity leave from Friday, all things going to plan. I'm due 2 weeks today. I'm hoping to have at least a few days off before the little guy comes along. And yes, I will be back early next year, back on board early next
Let's
year.
look forward to you coming back.
Yes,
And,
so my replacement is currently on maternity leave, and she will be on board in about 3 weeks' time.
okay.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you very
Right,
much.
thank you,
All the
Anthony.
best.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right.